Tonight on SportsDesk, Canes football took on rival FSU under the lights on Saturday, but things did not go as planned. Our In the Trenches crew is here to break it all down.
Plus, basketball is back, and both the men and women started their 2022 seasons this week. But controversy is swirling around the women's squad. Our Hurricane Hangtime crew will bring you the latest.
And later on, one Miami tennis coach used his talents to escape a war-torn country. Reporter Ryan Glacier brings you his story. All that and more, SportsDesk starts
right now.
I'm Ed Reed, and you're watching SportsDesk.
Hi, I'm Jim Kelly, former UM guy. You're watching SportsDesk.
What's up? I'm DJ Williams, and y'all watching SportsDesk.
Hello and welcome to SportsDesk. I'm Andrew Klein.
And I'm Regina Potenza. Thank you for joining us, and happy Veterans Day. From all of us at UMTV, thank you to all who have served our country. Andrew, Miami football is still facing the pain from its loss to Florida State, and then they got a rashada to the heart on Thursday.
Well, Miami's back on the road in Atlanta on Saturday for an ACC matchup against Georgia Tech, with lots of adjustments to make. Canes football taking on FSU in prime time at Hard Rock, and from start to finish, it was all Seminoles. Look at this throw from Jordan Travis, burning the Miami defenders, and a huge touchdown, and they would not stop there. Jake Garcia comes in for Tyler Van Dyke. He throws an interception. FSU takes it the other way. It was all evening long that Florida State was giving it to Miami. Ja'Curry Brown's chance now, and he gets flung around like a rag doll, thrown to the ground viciously. Struggling is the offensive line. Now a fumble for Miami in the third quarter. Brown loses it. Florida State's got the ball. It was a dominating effort for the Seminoles, 45-3 at Hard Rock Stadium.
Head coach Mario Cristobal's first season with the Canes is headed in the wrong direction with a loss to Florida State. How can Miami use their challenges as another learning point? Our In the Trenches team has more. Guys?
Ethan, do you even want to talk about football this week?
What else is going on in the news?
What else happened? Midterms. We can talk about midterms.
No, let's talk about football. Welcome to In the Trenches, guys. I'm your host, Ethan Gady, alongside our analyst, Cal Freeman. And Cal, to be honest, I have no desire to talk about this past week's football game, so you do that for me.
Oh, how kind of you, Ethan. Week 10 of the year for Miami. You'd think some of the little mistakes that they were making at the start of the year would be fixed by this new coaching staff. It's actually gotten worse. The biggest defeat by a road team in this entire rivalry's history, and it started from the opening drive. This 56-yard touchdown by Ontario Wilson. Florida State only had to throw the ball 12 times, and they were dissecting Miami's secondary all day. Maybe because they're using defensive linemen to cover running backs. Now, I'm no mathematician. I don't think Darrell Jackson can keep up with him. But on the offensive side, things weren't better. A muffed snap, some of the simplest things to do in football. In the red zone, Miami's only chance in this entire game basically to score a touchdown. They get absolutely humbled on national TV at their home stadium in front of a sold-out crowd to their biggest rivals.
So in a game like that where you have like three quarterbacks throwing for under 70 yards,
Not good.
a lot of talk gets made of the play calling. And I want to talk to you about the coaching staff. But first, let's give offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis a say.
The buy-in within our whole program hasn't gone necessarily the way we want it. But, you know, for us, it's about, one, first and foremost, it's about developing the culture in the locker room and in the team. So when you look at it, right, it all starts in building your roster from a recruitment standpoint. Got to recruit the right type of kids, the right type of players, and the right type of mindset. When you're talking about developing a culture, it starts there. And for those that, you know, that don't understand that, you've got to come to grips that, you know, there's other opportunities out there.
So it sounds like he's saying that I can't win without my own players. But you have coaches like Oregon, Dan Lanning, who takes over for Cristobal and he's winning, or Lincoln Riley at USC, or Brian Kelly at LSU. What's the deal?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the effort has not been there for these players. They're 4-5. They have not been good enough. But at the same time, you've had a whole offseason trying to establish this culture. The entire season, nothing's come. It's a rebuilding year now for Miami. They've just got to go out from here.
All right, so lastly, it's time for the segment that our football team seems to ignore on a weekly basis. It's Freeman Final Takes.
All right, Miami taking on Georgia Tech. First thing, Ja'Curry Brown's been one of their better players on offense. You got to use him as more of a rusher. Have to establish his group. Secondly, Georgia Tech, they've gone through a bit of transition. Make sure that they can't pass the ball. And if Miami do all these things, they can be 5-5. Nah, I'm ready for another sport.
I'm sure Coach L will have him ready. All right, that's all the time we have left on In the Trenches. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, guys. The 45-3 loss that the Hurricanes took was among the worst in program history. But how will that affect the Hurricanes' recruiting efforts moving forward? Late last night, four-star quarterback Jaden Rashada announced that he would be decommitting from Miami and committing to the Florida Gators football program. The 6'4" Pittsburgh native is the 6th best QB in the 2023 class, according to 24/7 Sports. He committed to the Hurricanes on June 26th of this year, and less than 6 months later, after a 4-5 start to the season, Rashada had seen enough. Lead reporter Daryl Barnes is live in studio to break down the impact of Rashada's decision. Daryl, what is the impact of Rashada's decision following that recent announcement?
Yeah, well, Andrew, it seems kind of like losing one of your top recruits isn't too good for your national recruiting rankings. Let's take a look at 24/7 Sports rankings for the class of 2023 last week versus this week. Take a look. Miami drops 2 spots by losing Rashada, and guess who they fell to? Well, that team that picked up the 4-star QB. These are just projections, right? But they're things that recruits and odds makers pay attention to.
And Daryl, Rashada is just one of the recruits in this highly touted class, But what are the other guys saying about this 2023 recruiting class?
Well, other guys are more optimistic. How about we take a look at what Tommy Kinsler said? The offensive line recruit said the class of 2023 is going to come in and turn it around. They're saying it's just a learning process, and just wait till we get here. Things will change. Now, other recruits have said similar things. Raul Aguirre also said that once the class of 2023 gets in, they're going to come and take people's spots. So I guess you could say there's 2 ways to kind of look at this struggling Canes season. But that's all in the recruiting. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Daryl. The Miami FSU was the first time the Canes sold out Hard Rock Stadium in over 4 years, and the student section was rocking. Reporter Manny Nacarado asked students how they're feeling about the state of the program after a blowout loss to their rival in this edition of Manny on the Street. Manny?
Last time we spoke about how student attendance at Hurricane games has been lacking, but this past weekend when the Canes played the Noles, we had a sold-out rock. So I took to the students and asked them what brought them to the game, and would they go to another one? So how did it feel, having Hard Rock, sold out for like the first time this season?
Well, it felt great. The energy was amazing.
That was crazy. Like I've never seen that place so packed. Like just like the energy, especially towards like the beginning of the game when we thought like maybe we could pull something out. Like it was kind of incredible to see.
But once the game started, things didn't look so good for the Canes.
The moment like they got their like first touchdown and stuff, I just was like, oh no, this is gonna be an absolute disaster.
Unfortunately, by the second point of the game, everyone left the game in hordes. So, yeah.
But some students still have high spirits for the Canes.
We should still have school spirit even though our football team has been slacking, but even when we've lost, we've played well sometimes. Like against North Carolina, we played very well.
So there you have it. There was a mixed bag of positive and negative feedback from the students, but all in all, the students are going to have one last chance to pack the rock against Pitt for the last home game of the season. Reporting for UMTV, I'm Manny Nacarado.
Thanks, Manny. Coming up on SportsDesk, the Lady Canes played in front of some really enthusiastic fans on Thursday afternoon. I have the full story and more when we return, so stay with us.
Get it.
Get it.
Get it. Get it.
Get it. Get it.
Is she gonna get it, Daddy?
She'll get it.
Get it. Get it.
When you bring home a Goodwill find, you give your whole town a reason to celebrate because you're also funding local job training and placement programs in tech, healthcare, and more. Goodwill. Bring good home.
The women's squad is without Coach Katie Meyer for the first 3 games this season, but they picked up a win on Monday versus Maryland Eastern Shore, where the Lady Canes able to keep the momentum going against Stetson. Let's take a look at the highlights. We start off in the early first quarter. Jalea Williams, you can see she passes a beautiful feed from Lola Pendande as she drills the three-pointer. Ensuing Miami possession, Destiny Harden, she feeds Pendande right here, who finishes through the and one as it goes in. Second quarter, Haley Cavender with the steal, and she takes it all the way for the layup to extend the Miami lead. What a great play for Cavender. Now we on to the second half. Miami's still ahead. Williams, what does she do? How about another three-pointer? She had 14 points on the afternoon. Fourth quarter, why not? One more three for the Canes as Cavender cans the jumper. Miami cruises to their second win of the season, 80-56.
Yesterday's contest between the Lady Canes and Stetson was packed with students, but not the students you're used to seeing at Canes games. I had a chance to attend Elementary Day and witness the next wave of Miami fans. Yesterday was a special day for the Miami women's basketball team, as they hosted over 1,000 elementary school students for the team's 8th annual Elementary School Day.
Every year we be sure to do an elementary school day here with women's basketball. They love it. Oftentimes it's one of our most attended games with thousands of kids coming and supporting. And so being able to have this day where they're able to kind of take a field trip, get out of school, but also come support Miami Hurricanes women's basketball, it's the best thing ever.
The students come from multiple different schools in the Miami area with one common thing in mind: a love of Hurricanes basketball.
We've looked at the roster, seen the players, talked about the importance of how amazing these athletes are, not only in their athletic ability, but how they are here as students, and it gives us something to show them to aspire to, and to know how schoolwork is important.
The students each received a rally towel courtesy of the Florida Lottery, and the Hurricanes even had interactive learning opportunities for the students on the Jumbotron.
Now, that part I actually love just for the simple fact they were able to do math, hence I'm the math coach, but it's beautiful to see them walk the halls and they were able to point out certain things on the wall, so that was something different because we don't see that walking around the building at our school, but to have them outside at a UM game, that enough is beautiful.
The students came to the game as fans, but their teachers made sure this was a learning experience as well.
We love the fact that we're able to cheer on our hometown team for the University of Miami. It also gives us the opportunity to show what good sportsmanship is.
This is something that they may not have experienced before, so to actually bring them out during school, so this is something that they're able to see and experience.
And to top it all off, the Hurricanes were able to pick up the win over Stetson and send everyone home happy. Reporting for UMTV, I'm Andrew Klein.
The women's basketball team picked up their second win of the season yesterday against Stetson, while the men will look to make it 2 wins in a row tonight. Let's send it over to our Hurricane Hang Time crew for more. Guys?
Welcome back to this week's edition of Hurricane Hang Time. I'm your host, Justin Walkney, joined by analysts Jake Baum and Juliana Warnock. Now, both men's and women's teams started off their season with wins. But before we get into the analysis, let's start with the women's side here, as Coach Katie Meyer has been suspended for the first 3 games of the season. So, Juliana, tell me, what more do you know about this?
Yeah, Justin, so after her suspension, Coach Meyer said in a statement, "For over 30 years, I've led my programs with integrity, excellence, equity, and grit. I have and will continue to collaborate transparently with the NCAA as we review an enforcement matter with the Hurricanes women's basketball program." She's excited to return to the competition on November 16th against Florida Atlantic University.
Right, and the team picked up a couple wins despite Coach's absence against Maryland Eastern Shore and Stetson University. So tell me, who stood out most to you in those first 2 games?
Overall, Justin, the Canes are looking great, but a fan favorite definitely seems to be Destiny Harden, as in both Game 1 and 2, she reached double figures, and in Game 1, she hauled 10 out of 52 rebounds for Miami, making that her 6th double-double of her career.
All right, definitely looking to see how they build on that. But now on to the men's squad here, Jake. They opened up their season Monday in a 67-54 win against the Lafayette Leopards. So tell me, what impressed you most in Game 1?
Well, Justin, here's a phrase of the day. Omir, oh my, Norchad Omir. 15 rebounds against the Lafayette Leopards this past Monday. First player to do that for the Canes in the last 2 years. And a double-double, 11 points. First Canes player to do that at home since Cam McGusty back in January.
Right, and on the other side, with some new faces on the rosters, it could sometimes take some time for the team to gel a little bit. So tell me, what areas do you think the team needs to work on most early on this season?
Well, definitely momentum. They didn't really get that until the second half. They were down at halftime by 2 and only 1 for 6 from the line in the first half. So it's definitely something they're going to have to address, and Coach L did address that in the press conference after the game.
Right, and they are currently playing the UNC Greensboro Spartans, but more on that in a second. But that does it for this week's edition of Hurricane Hang Time. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, guys. It's game day for Canes men's hoops, and they are back at the Watsco Center tonight to take on UNC Greensboro. Reporter Ryan Marshall is live outside the Watsco Center to break down tonight's contest. Ryan, what can we expect from the Hurricanes tonight?
Yeah, Andrew, tonight's going to be a very special one here at the Watsco Center because it is Heroes Night. This is the day where the Miami Hurricanes are going to honor all their veterans and thank them for their service and what they have done for this country. Now, the actual game just tipped off minutes ago, and it's going to be versus UNC Greensboro, who is also coming into this game 1-0. One thing to look forward to is going to be whether Miami struggles again offensively like they did on Lafayette against Monday, whether they struggle offensively and whether they're going to keep up their heavy isolation guard play or whether they're going to start looking to feed the post a bit more in this matchup. If you want to find that out, then come to the game after the show. Reporting live for UMTV, I'm Ryan Marshall.
Thanks, Ryan. Up next on Sports Desk, Canes football may not be playing great, but some other teams here on campus are having more success and signing some big-name players. Michael Muella and Gavin Bisho will bring you all the details. But first, it's time for some trivia. Former Lady Cane guard Raquana Williams joins the 2023 class of the UM Sports Hall of Fame. But how many other current Miami women's basketball names are in the UM Hall of Fame? Is it A, 1, B, 2, C, 4, or D, 7? The answer when we return.
Anytime they're playing music downstairs, it's loud. I go downstairs, see what they're doing, see what music they're doing, see what they're dancing to. I go play piano downstairs, they come get involved. Leah has a drum set beside it, banging that. Any music, that's what they do.
Do you guys have anything fun planned for this weekend?
I'm going to be in Tampa this weekend. I got a baseball series. I'm excited.
Oh, that's funny. Who are you guys playing?
Well, we're going to Tampa, so we got to play Tampa.
Oh, that's pretty good. How are they? What's their record?
I have no idea, to be honest. I have no...
Sometimes we can do things that exclude others.
You're still talking to your friends. It's complicated.
I think he went back in. We gotta go get him.
Welcome to Jumanji.
Even the smallest words and actions can have a big effect on someone. You have the skills. Because of you, someone's entire day, their year, or their life can change.
Remember, the future is in your hands.
Visit becauseofyou.org to learn more.
Totally, let's do it.
Welcome back. If you guessed B, you are correct. Williams joins current Miami coaches Katie Meyer and Shanice Johnson in the UM Sports Hall of Fame. The former All-American won her first WNBA title with the Las Vegas Aces this past season after scoring nearly 2,200 points for Miami last year.
Canes volleyball had a big week, knocking off a top 10 team, and Miami Golf has some new faces ready to suit up next year. Michael Muella and Gavin Bisho have more in this week's edition of the O Sports Roundup. Guys?
Thanks, guys, and welcome to this week's edition of the O Sport Roundup. I'm Gavin Bisho.
And I'm Michael Muella. Gavin, tell us about last weekend's Hurricanes volleyball successful homecoming.
Yeah, Mike, definitely. It started on Friday night as Miami took on number 10 Georgia Tech in an ACC showdown. The Yellow Jackets got set one, but it was Miami bouncing back, winning the next 3 sets, all with the score of 25-22. So a very impressive performance from the Hurricanes on that side of things. They finished their weekend on Sunday taking on Clemson, winning that match in 5 sets and extending their win streak. Miami Volleyball plays Clemson tonight, this time in South Carolina, as that is their only matchup this weekend. Long story short, Mike, this team is rolling. But with more on signing day and swim and dive, you got it, Mike. Tell us more.
Thanks a lot, Gav. Yep, the Hurricanes definitely added some new faces to their rosters for the 2023 season, including track's Kalia Jackson, soccer's Emily McCartney, and golf's Rebecca Gardner. Now, swim and dive did lose 155 to 145 to FSU last weekend on homecoming, but they did win 10 of the 16 events. Their next meet is November 17th against SMU, and women's tennis finished their fall season with an impressive 14-6 win at the Miami Fall Invite last week, and men's tennis is getting ready for a tournament next weekend in Boca Raton.
Thanks, Mike. That's all the time we have left for this week's edition of the O Sport Roundup. We send it to Ryan Glacier, who's got an inspirational story about a Miami Hurricane coach.
Thanks, guys. What started as a hobby ended up being the reason one Cane tennis coach survived a war. I got the chance to speak to Alosha Pirich to learn more about his journey across the world.
Early in the 1990s, at age 15, Alosha Pirich was a kid with a dream of becoming a tennis star. But one day in his hometown of Tuzla, Bosnia, civil war broke out.
I was going to a tennis club with my dad, and the streets were totally empty. And my dad said, "Something's off, we gotta go back home." We went back home, and as we entered our house, the bombings started.
Seen as a promising star by the Bosnian Olympic Committee, Pirich was offered an opportunity to seek refuge in Croatia, but the decision wasn't his to make.
You know, it was a war and it was dangerous, and my parents decided for me that this was the best thing for me, and I thank them for that.
Pirich left his family with just a bag, clothes, and a racket. His journey would stop in Croatia and Italy soon after, but once again, the Bosnian Olympic Committee stepped in.
The Bosnian Olympic Committee was in a contact with the U.S. Olympic Committee, so they found a place for us in 3 different tennis academies in Florida.
Pirich ended up in a boarding school in Tampa for a few months, and eventually got adopted by Peggy and Dave Thorne in Virginia. He grew close to their son Kenny, a professional tennis player, and together they shared their bond of this sport.
My parents loved him. I think they loved him more than they loved me. He came on and all I heard was Alosha this, Alosha that. Probably one of the most incredible things that happened in our family, to have him come in there. And
As both Pirich and Thorne grew older, Pirich soon found an assistant coaching role at Georgia Tech with Thorne. And Pirich didn't stop there, soon finding his dream job in Coral Gables. Reporting for UMTV, I'm Ryan Glacier.
Thanks, Ryan. Still ahead on Sports Desk, Canes baseball may not be back on the diamond for a few months, but that doesn't stop them from preparing for the spring. Olivia Howell sits down with one Miami Hurricanes pitcher when we return. Don't go anywhere.
Kevin, you thinking about retirement?
Of course I've thought about it, but there's all this stuff in the way.
Oh, you're not kidding.
The house, the kids are going to college.
My new car.
Car? You bought a new car?
Oh, hey, you should meet my friend Avo. Avo's a retirement coach. He'll help get you started.
But what does Avo tell you to do?
You don't know? Focus on your future. Your goals can still be met.
But how?
Target your tomorrow. And use the Avo bet.
You sing?
Not really. A is for taking action. Start off with a plan.
You built these letters?
Yep. V is for variety. There's so many ways you can.
I follow you.
Come on. O's for optimize your savings.
Let Avo lead the way.
Visit aceyourretirement.org today.
Nice sign.
Thanks, I made it myself.
Cool.
Pitching with games on the line has become second nature for Canes reliever Gage Zeal. Olivia Howell sits down with the sophomore flamethrower in this week's edition of Athlete of the Week.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Athlete of the Week. I'm Olivia Howell here with Canes pitcher Gage Zeal. How are you today, Gage?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm super excited to have you here today. So coming out of high school, you were drafted in the 11th round of the MLB draft. What made you decide that you wanted to come here instead of going straight to the Major League?
You know, I wanted to come to a place that had the chance every year to make its Omaha and win a national championship.
but I also wanted to come to a place that would help me develop as a person and a player. And I think coming out of high school, you're not as mature, but going to college helps you in that way.
Absolutely. That's amazing. So you're from upstate New York. What made you choose Miami? What sets it apart? And it's really far away from home. So like what made you decide to come here?
Yeah, I really wanted to get away from home, and also the weather down here is, you can't compare it to anywhere else. So that's definitely the biggest decisions.
Absolutely. I'm from North Carolina, so we barely get any snow, but here you only get 2 seasons. So it's definitely amazing weather here. But since you come to Miami, you joined Dream on 3. What inspired you to join that organization, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, so I had a couple friends reach out that they were going to start this organization at the University of Miami, and I've had a couple friends back home that had disabilities, and this organization is here to find a dream kid and take them to a game, and the University of Miami game, and just fill their day with a bunch of things. And that's something that I really want to do, and because it's a great cause.
Absolutely. That's such an amazing cause. And with one more question, with less than 100 days until the start of the season, how are you feeling about the team going into your sophomore year?
Feeling really good. This team's going to have a lot of energy and be electric this year, for sure.
That's all. Thank you so much. That's all the time we have today for Athlete of the Week. I'm Olivia Howell. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Olivia. The Hurricanes fumbled against Florida State. Canes Hoops is just starting their season, and volleyball took home a top 10 win. Niles Nassim dives into it all on this week's edition of Behind the Post. Niles?
What? Last Saturday was rough, but this segment is more than enough to get your social media filled. So welcome to the most electrifying segment on TV with me, Niles Nassim, your host with the most. And when you see me on screen, it's time to go behind the post. Let's start this off on a winning note, ladies and gentlemen, as Canes volleyball is now on a 3-game win streak after beating Clemson 3-2. Now the Canes are on an absolute tear, so step up to them if you dare. They are currently running it back with Clemson in Death Valley right now. And look, Canes football got absolutely mollywopped, 45-3. That's it. I don't have much to say about Canes football. 90% of the fans left the stadium before halftime, and it was sold out. But look, they play Georgia Tech tomorrow, and they should win this game, but Miami will be Miami. So kickoff begins at 3:30. But turn those frowns upside down, because Canes Hoop has hopped back in our lives, and they are keeping our hope in this athletic program alive. Men's basketball took on Lafayette, and it was a close affair through the first half, but the Canes defense turned up the heat more than a turkey fryer on Thanksgiving to force crucial turnovers and transition opportunities to pull away with the 67-54 win. And shout out to Canes women's hoops for putting smiles on kids' faces as they played Stetson yesterday, because yesterday was elementary school day. As over 1,000 kids came to the Wasco Centers to see some great basketball, the Canes would skunk Stetson 80-56 and would make a memory that will last a lifetime for those kids. Well done, ladies and gentlemen. Miami's a basketball school. But hey, that's all the time I have for you today. As always, you know what to do. Be blessed, never stress, because you know where to find me right here every Friday on Sports Desk. I'm Niles Nassim.
For over 20 years, Capital star Alex Ovechkin has skated his way to 9 NHL scoring titles. But on Monday, he dealt an assist that had Washington fans amazed. Let's take a look on this week's edition of Play of the Day. Less than 2 minutes to go, Capital One Arena in Washington. Puck trickles out of the zone. Ovechkin gets it. Ovechkin, is he going to shoot? No, through his legs, and a huge goal for Evgeny Kuznetsov. Oh my goodness. Washington breaks the tie. They're on a 4-game losing streak coming in. This will end that streak. Look at this one more time. They knock it out of the zone. It trickles away to the stick of Ovechkin, and you know he's going to make a play right now. Ovechkin, not shoot, through his legs, the 5-hole and into the back of the net, and the Capitals get a huge win over the Oilers.
Some college basketball players struggle when they step up to the foul line, let alone half court. But for one Canes fan, half court wasn't too hard. Let's head to the Watsco Center for more. Here you can see at the quarter break, 3 Canes fans are lining up to shoot the half-court shot. If they win, they get a prize. They just toss it up nonchalant, and one makes it. Look, he just threw it up in the air out of nowhere, and he's celebrating. What a great shot. You can tell that guy was just happy to be making anything. Let's pan to Sebastian in the corner over here. You can see he is not a happy mascot. I think he's upset someone stole his thunder.
Well, Regina, as one Mike Breen would say, bang. What a shot from half court. That is impressive.
It is.
That is
was
very
really good.
impressive.
Well, that's all we have for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to Sports Desk.
Have a great night.